where they're now, modifying plants and animals. That's treading on God's territory right there. When you start designing in a laboratory, and now of course, man can't create life. All he can do is take what God made and just pervert it, change it. And let me tell you something, anytime man takes what God made and changes it, I promise you, what God made was better than what man made. Now, man might make something that he thinks is good. Oh, look, it's bigger. Oh, look, it grows more and produces more. Yeah, but the nutrition is gone. Or it has harmful side effects. See, when God looked at what he made is very good, you can't improve on it. Amen. You cannot improve upon the fruits and vegetables that God created. You cannot improve upon the animals that he made. You are tampering with things that you don't understand, and you are in way over your head when you're working with things like that.
Named Hercules, and is actually a liger, which, if you could not guess, is part tiger, part lion. The beast of nature is recognised by the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest cat on Earth.
For those who don't want to listen to everything, I just want to summarize this very shortly. It's basically like this: the genetically modified crops which are on the market right now and growing on the fields are very unstable. They are manufactured kind of old school style in such a way that the DNA in the seeds are not very stable. It's around 2 to 4% DNA difference between the crops which we used to know and the genetically modified ones. It's so big that it will lead to the extinction of organic crops, which we know also, and it will monopolize the seeds in favor of the GMO companies which are producing the GMO seeds. Now, I wouldn't have anything against it if it were healthy, but as we will see and explain in this movie, there's a lot of consequences when DNA changes of a plant in such a degree as this. So first of all, bear with me while I try to explain this. I basically just prepared this on the train. I wrote some things on paper. It's a train of thought which I will follow here. So first of all, where are the crops right now? Since like 20 years ago, they started in America, kinda, with corn and soya. It went to Canada. In India, there's a history of genetically modified cotton fields. So
my name is Daan Roosgaarden. I'm designer slash artist slash architect from the Netherlands, and we're here in Austin, Texas, in South by Southwest. Well, one of the reasons why I went to USA is because they have a quite liberal agenda of merging the worlds of nature and technology. In the last year, I really became fond of biomimicry. So what can we learn from nature and apply that to the built environment, to roads, to public spaces, to our urban landscape. When you have a jellyfish deep underwater, it creates its own light. You know, it does not have a battery or a solar panel or an energy bill. It does that completely autonomous. What can we learn from that? This is one of the first explorations where we merge the luciferin, the element which produces light, in a firefly or in a jellyfish, merging it with existing plants. So these are plants which actually at night they glow. you know, without any battery, without any solar panel. And this is one of the first editions that were just shipped to my hotel room, and I'm really, really excited to have one of the first in my hand. This is a very small version, which is produced in New York by a university there. And right now we're teaming up with them to make a really large one, like a tree, which glows at night instead of standard street lighting. Yeah, and I mean, come on, that will be incredibly fascinating to have this energy neutral, but at the same time, these very poetic landscapes. Yeah. And I think in the end, technology will completely disappear. I don't think we'll be looking at screens so much again anymore in the coming 10, 15 years. So what happens when technology jumps out of the computer screen and becomes a part of the things that we wear, the roads that we drive on? That's, I think, where the real challenge lays.
Well, this one's kind of scary. This is weird. And the implications of this are kind of scary.
It was one of the scariest things that I've read, I'm not going to lie.
So, a couple of weeks ago, right, I came into your office and said, have you seen this? And what it was an article that exposed the experiments going on in the UK right now of breeding animals and humans.
Yeah, human-animal hybrids.
It's a human-animal hybrid. And the technology is there to do it, and they're doing it. Now, they only let it live for so long.
14,
How long?
14 days.
14 days.
And in an embryonic state.
But it could, I mean, if they didn't stop it.
If they didn't stop it, then we don't know.
We don't know what it would become. But we do know it contained life.
Yes.
And the DNA is living.
Yes.
And we do know that they are so confident that this could happen that the Brookings Institute has reported that they're working on language of the legality of changing our Constitution for transhuman rights to include transhuman rights.
And
they're that confident this is going to happen.
And their argument is, if you have a homosexual man married to a homosexual man, mm-hmm. and they want to have a child, mm-hmm. which is physically impossible, and they want that child to have both of their DNA, mm-hmm. well, then they will create that child based on both of their DNA.
Yes.
The problem is that it is no longer human.
To male, no female gene. So you have human inbreeding, male to male, yeah. No Y chromosomes, or right. Is it no X? No X chromosomes. I get them mixed up. And but then even worse is the animal to human.
Yes.
So now, why would they do that? Because DARPA wants to create what is called, well, for many reasons. One reason is that DARPA wants to create super soldiers, non-human soldiers. So when we go to war, humans don't have to die.
And there's a really interesting video that I found, I think it was last year, and I was re-looking at that video as we were talking about this. And what it is it is a piece of human skin about so big, and they have infused spider web into this skin. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is the spider web is stronger than Kevlar. Mm-hmm. And so
strand for strand.
Yeah, and so the video is actually of them shooting this piece of human skin.
Infused with spider web.
And guess what? The bullet doesn't go through. It's bulletproof skin.
So the justification for this, human DNA mixed with animal, insect in this case, DNA,
yeah.
Arachnids, that you end up getting something that can protect humans. Well, if you can get something that can protect humans, then anything, protection of humans being the key phrase,
yeah.
Anything that can protect humans now becomes viable and or legal.
And there's also the whole, my child is dying, so I need to have some type of transplant. Mm-hmm. There are 50,000 people waiting for a heart transplant yeah. right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, what if we were able to harvest those hearts inside an animal? And so,
then recreate them through injection, stem cell, through...
Well, they've created sheep that have human livers.
And so, and they even end this, and this is stranger than fiction, but
it's true.
But the articles that I use to reference this are from National Geographic, Discovery, Smithsonian. These are very well respected scientific communities. This is not from some conspiracy theorist in his mother's basement. You know, these are real scientists that are telling us about this. There are real laws. 2008, they just passed this law in the UK in order to allow for this. And the Parliament, their argument was, well, we will lose our lead as researchers in the stem cell community if we don't push forward with all of these things.
Yeah. So we're going to violate every code in the Bible so that we don't lose our lead standing as the top research nation, R&D, research and development nations in the world. So that's what is going on that we know of.
And here's the other thing. The respected countries such as UK, and it's happening in America. They've already created in America pigs that have human blood and sheep that have human blood, mice with human brain cells. And they've done that.
You collect the stem cells from those brain cells or take the brain cells and implant them into a human.
Yeah.
And therefore the idea is they regenerate brain cells or regenerate blood.
And the justification is, well, we want to heal Alzheimer's. We want to heal all of these different, terrible diseases. Don't you want to heal them too? Why are you holding us back?
Yeah.
We're trying to help people, you evil person.
Yeah. So we'll give you a brain that is half animal and half human.
But the leading researchers in all of the world, the leading research is being done out of South Korea and Singapore.
Really?
They are the leading, and that's where all of the Americans that want to be involved and all of the Brits,
they're migrating that direction.
They're all going over there because the laws are a lot more lax.
Well, you can see the Coming Perfect Storm website is going to be filled with very interesting things. Now, you have to think through things. You have to read it and say, well, what does that mean? At first glance, the headline is probably going to say something wonderful, how wonderful this is. But when you think what this means, it's like basically we've just now discovered that we think we can become like God.
Yes, replace God. And actually, the very first example was in, I believe it was either 1926 or 1929, where the Russian wanted to do this in order to eliminate the need for religion.
Is that right?
That was his reasoning, and the government, Russian government, funded his research, and you can find that on the Smithsonian website.
Okay, so now let's just think through this. I want to kind of help, not that you don't know how to think, but let's just kind of think through this whole process. Why would they want to make religion non-viable? And how would this type of thing make religion non-viable? Well, it makes it non-viable simply because, well, we can do it. Yeah. There doesn't have to be a God to do it. We can do it ourselves. Look what we've done. Look at it. And pretty soon you say, well, here's a human. Here's a transhuman. Here is a fully male human, no female in him. But then they say, well, here's a fully female human and no male in them. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you got a whole classification of being that wasn't created by God. Now, in one way, the rudiments of it work. It's like the guy says, "Hey, I can take dirt and make a human, and you can take a human, and you say it's made out of dirt." And so the scientists decide they're going to have a gene pool debate deal, or what do you call it? Like maybe a creation cook-off. But then the question becomes, who supplies the dirt? And that's what we're really looking at.
Yeah.
They're taking created quantities that God created and saying they have become like God to create it. But they haven't created anything. They've taken what is created and modified it. And that's exactly what Satan does in everything. He is not a creator in any way. He has always taken that which is created and he pollutes it, he deforms it, he mutates it, he counterfeits it, and then presents it as the real thing. It's been that way from the beginning, It's still that way today. It's just getting more convoluted.